Hi, it's Steve and Caleb from Brownells here with another edition of Smyth Busters. And today, Caleb, we're going to look at torque specs and how important they are.
Yeah, because torque specs don't matter.
That's right. That's the myth. Torque specs don't matter. Well, do they really?
I think to a very large extent, yes. Now there's a little bit of room to play with there. Like for example, let's say we're talking AR-15 barrel nut, right?
Yeah.
35 to like 85 foot-pounds is like your mil spec range, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
And anything in between that, it's not a huge deal. But you don't want to be over and you don't want to be under for sure.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Not too loose, not too tight.
To an extent, they definitely matter.
So, but, a lot of guns were built and worked on without torque wrenches back in the day.
Well, Steve, it's a fact that if you're gripping a screwdriver and you put, 4 fingers on the screwdriver, it's 30 inch-pounds, and if you use 3, it's like 25 inch-pounds.
Exactly.
I made that up.
You got my secret.
That's not true.
No. For general gun work, I don't use a torque wrench very often, but, I've worked on hundreds and hundreds of guns, so you kind of get a feel for it after a while.
Yes.
But I think where it is important is where you have people who aren't used to working on guns, doing small number 8 or number 6 screws or something. You don't want to crimp your scope tube, things like that.
Seen plenty of it.
And you would well know in a military armory situation where you have multiple people working on multiple firearms, you have to torque them up to the same spec.
Yeah,
especially bolt actions.
The only way for that repeatability is with a torque wrench.
Right. You do it by the manual, just like if you were working on a car and you were tightening bolts on the head.
Yep, exactly. And I think, for all purposes, really, scope rings, yes, you have to be, tight enough. You can't be too tight. But it's also really important to have them consistent from screw to screw so that they don't walk themselves loose.
Right. And like I said, you don't want to damage that tube because there's enough power in those 4 screws, 2 on a side. They can crimp your tube.
Yeah, screw tension is a heck of a thing.
Yeah. But also you get repeatability if you're tightening your guard screws with the same torque each time. That way when you take it back to the range, it's going to shoot about the same spot.
Yep, and that's another really good point. It's really, repeatability is the key here. So I would say, yeah, torque really does matter.
Right. Now, when I'm working on a revolver, I do not put a torque wrench on my side plate screws on a Smith & Wesson, for example.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, as long as they're snug.
Yeah, when I'm sticking the buttstock on a 870, I'm not using a torque wrench for that.
Right. But some stuff is critical, especially if you're shooting for accuracy, long range, what have you. It's nice to have the right torque value. And don't assume that one torque value goes across the board because different manufacturers will have different values based on their experience with their product. So if you have instructions for the product, look up the torque value.
Yeah, like, every set of scope rings out there, some of them are similar, but a lot of them have different torque values, just like pretty much every AR barrel nut manufacturer out there has different torque values for their barrel nut. So know what you're working with and go from there.
Right, and a little fun fact, if you like to put Loctite on your scope screws, that acts as a lubricant. So go to the lower end of your torque value when you tighten them down because that makes it easier to turn it in a little further and, you can easily go overboard.
Yep.
And that's it. If you happen to disagree and think they're not important, let us know. We'll take on all comers. In the meantime, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time when we bring you another edition of Smyth Busters.